All right, my name is Scott Provitt, and I'm presenting with Jordan Richards and Leonto Perez Oval. We're doing Chapter 13, Motivating Performance. We're going to try to train. And the objectives we want you to learn are identifying the kinds of behaviors managers need to motivate people, understand when and how rewards and punishments are effective and when you should use them, understand how goals can be used to motivate employees, and understand how to create a job that motivates. Firstly, rewards and punishments are things that can be used to motivate employees to have a certain. Sorry, it's okay. Alright, we'll cut that. It's a way to motivate employees to have a certain type of behavior and deter them from having an ineffective behavior. But firstly, it's important to differentiate between effective and ineffective behavior and reward and punish accordingly. An example of this is you don't want to reward a behavior that in the long term kind of is detrimental to a business. A lot of businesses think something like multitasking is something that should be complimented and rewarded for because it seems that more is getting done, but in the long run it becomes obvious that it's much less effective, and has the effect of creating mistakes. And when this is rewarded, it promotes that kind of behavior and therefore promotes more mistakes. You want to reward it to reinforce behavior, and then you want to punish to kind of deter from it. Different forms of punishment in a business is you have negative reinforcement, which is kind of lifting up a punishment that has already been placed down. An example of this is taking someone off probation or taking someone off of leave of absence. A punishment is administering an aversive consequence. Popular examples in a workplace are criticizing an employee for something they're doing, giving a job that may seem unappealing, or sending them home without pay. Punishments need to not be overboard, and they need to be in line with the company's policy and ethics. And when managers are using punishments too frequently, it can have the effect of creating an unhealthy workplace that has a lot of fear, and this leads to high employee turnover. Different forms of rewards in a business. You have positive reinforcement, and this is applying consequences to increase the likelihood that a person will repeat the behavior that led to it. You do this to reinforce things that promote the business and create more effective behavior. There's monetary and non-monetary rewards that can be done. Monetary is very common. It's giving a raise, giving a larger bonus for effective employees, bonuses at the end of the year, gifts, vacations. But more creative managers will generally have non-monetary rewards, and this can be verbal recognition, giving someone more responsibility, more opportunities for leadership, more vacation days. There was one example I read about, and it was about whenever a company would hire new employees, they would put a big jar of candy on their desk, and this would promote the other employees coming in and introducing themselves. So the reward to getting hired was being able to have an opportunity to meet everyone else in the office, and other people having that incentive to do that. And that's rewards and punishments.
Cool, guys. So my part of the presentation will be about motivation and really what keeps people motivated to come to work. So the definition behind motivation in the text is the forces that help someone make the decisions they do or to perform the job they do at work. So companies, they really have the task of trying to hire managers, that keep people motivated to come to work. And so if you look at the slides, the things the qualities that you want a motivated manager to have to help motivate his staff is, first, you want them to be able to motivate people to join the organization or to see the vision of what the organization is trying to accomplish. Once that happens, of course, probably the even harder task is causing people to remain in the organization. So staying motivated daily, seeing the purpose of why they come to work and the importance of the job they're doing, instead of just a repetitive task, which can sometimes be the case. Once they remain in the organization, you want them to come to work regularly or also on time, okay, not constantly running late. And once they do that, of course, when they're at work, you want them to be performing and actually doing their job assignment very well as well. And while they're doing that, you want it to kind of continue on and for them to exhibit good citizenship, and not only in the company, but outside of it as well. And so goals are really the means behind people staying motivated. Goals, not only in the workplace, but I hope we've all had experience of goals in life and maybe had the feeling of achieving some of the goals we set, because that is essentially how we stay motivated and set higher goals as well. And so one of the first points that you want to do in a company is you want to set meaningful goals. And so a lot of companies nowadays, they do have hidden purposes. A lot of companies contribute toward cancer foundations or research for other illnesses or helping impoverished people. And so while these companies, of course, are all aiming at increasing their profit, making a lot of money, they have these goals behind the company, which actually helps to draw other people to them. That also keeps people motivated. So a lot of people do look for those underlying goals in companies, and that's how they stay in these certain companies and stay motivated as well. Acceptable goals are also part of having goals that people want to follow. And so, a big reason that people don't follow certain goals in organizations is because they don't really accept them or see the purpose behind them. So one of the things that we can do to overcome that is to actually get the employees involved in the goal setting process. And so instead of managers just setting goals, you can also include the employees or get the employees to set the goals, and then the manager can approve them, allowing them to follow, and leaving them willing to follow the goals. Stretch goals are another thing that help people to grow. So stretch goals usually seem unattainable, seem like really big goals, but in the meantime, they do help you to stretch. Once they are attained, the person is able to grow a lot. If they aren't attained, you don't want to, put too much stress on the people that didn't make it, but just re-encourage them and reassure them that they did a great job. And then you want to set quantifiable goals and specific goals. Goals are calling a certain amount of people per day, asking, or if it was a car company, for people that cancelled on their insurance plans, you want to follow up with them every certain amount of days to be able to complete that, or have a quantifiable goal. Of course, goals do have limitations as well, so sometimes you just want to be aware of all the factors that go into goal setting, especially those that are trying to carry out the goals. And so you want to make sure that the people have the necessary skills to accomplish the goals first, and in some terms you might set goals for them to learn, instead of accomplish the certain goals. Individual goals versus team performance. If you set individual goals in a team environment, then they're going to collide and they won't work as well. Okay. You don't want to set your goals too high, but you do want to make stretch goals. That is because sometimes people make some unethical choices, falsifying reports or changing the numbers, or calling other people to lower the numbers so that they can be the ones that are right, and that is a temptation that comes along with huge goals here. And also you want to set creative goals or productivity goals, and that comes when you're working with teams that are involved in brainstorming as well. And so my last slide is set your own goals. If you haven't had the chance to set goals, do so. It says, this little quote from the book says, set goals for yourself, don't just try hard or hope for the best. And we've learned a lot throughout school and life, that if you just don't set anything, then you don't really aim for anything, and so things just become invalid over time. But if you're able to set goals, stretch yourself, and work hard towards them, you're able to stay motivated, and not only does it come to your personal life, but also into the business world, and that's how your company can attain goals in the long term.
Okay, so now it's my turn. Designing motivating jobs. So just imagine that you are a salesperson and you work really hard this month. So you got the first place in sales, and the wonderful prize was a fishing lamp, a fishing light. But there is a small problem with this little prize, and is that you don't go fishing. So how would you feel next month? Would you feel motivated to continue working? Of course not, because the reward is something that you don't like or something that you don't want. So this is actually a real story. So I'm pretty sure you have heard about a lady named Mary Kay Ash. So that was the prize that one of her former employers gave to her. Eventually she left the job and she started her own sales company. But in order to have a motivating job, we need to focus in extrinsic rewards and intrinsic rewards. So extrinsic rewards are those that are given by the boss, by a company, by other person. So the problem with these external rewards, we can say, is that they are usually things that are not focusing the needs and the wants of the employees. So the best way to reward people is through intrinsic rewards. So intrinsic rewards come or are derived directly from performing the job itself. So this means that, for example, when employees set their own goals and their own areas in which they want to develop, that's when they feel that they are, how to say this? That's when they feel that the job is really fulfilling, that it's a job that they really love. Another thing that we can do in order to make jobs more motivating is rotation, enlargement, and enrichment. I just want you to imagine the most boring job in the world. Probably that will be in an assembly line. So in an assembly line, people do the same thing over and over and over again. So how can you make this job more interesting? The option number one is rotation. Like you change people from one task to another to alleviate boredom. So this is going to help people to feel more motivated, but that is also going to help you to train people to know how to do different tasks. So you're going to have better skilled employees. The second part is enlargement. So enlargement is giving people additional tasks at the same time. And the third thing is enrichment. Enrichment is changing a task to make it inherently more rewarding. So it becomes a little bit harder, but at the same time the level of satisfaction is going to be higher in the employees when they are finally done with this task. Perfect. So also we are going to analyze Herzberg's two-factor theory. So Frederick Herzberg, he said that there are two factors that affect the motivation in a job. The first one are called hygiene factors. These are basically the policies, the working condition, payment, supervision in a job. And the second thing are motivators. So an employee needs to feel that he has opportunities for personal growth and recognition. And this is going to help him to stay in the job and to feel that the job is meaningful. So we're going to analyze another theory, and this is Hackman and Oldham model of job design. So there are three things that needs to happen in a job in order to be a good job. First, employees need to feel that the job is meaningful. Second, they need to feel that they are responsible for that job. And third, they need to know about the results, about how good or how bad they perform. So in order to achieve these three things, we also need to focus in skill variety, task identity, and task significance. The skill variety is basically this job needs to include different talents, different skills in order to avoid boredom. Task identity is that the job needs to be specific. People need to know exactly what they are supposed to do. And task significance, they need to feel that the job is helping others or is important for the full company. Autonomy is basically having freedom to take their own decisions, and that is going to help them to feel responsible for the job. And finally, feedback, positive and negative feedback, that is going to help them to know the actual results of the work activities. And we're going to talk about a very last word, and this is empowerment. So empowerment basically means to give power to people. So when people feel that they have more power,